ZeBirdBrain, and today we are talking about groups and how to group stuff in Harmony and how to navigate groups. So in Harmony, groups are going to show up in different ways. In the node view, they're going to show up as these little gray boxes. And in your timeline, they're going to show up as these little boxes with a plus sign and a minus sign and stuff. If you cannot see them in your timeline, maybe it's because they're not active. So you can go here into View, Show, Groups. If this is not checked, then you're not going to see your groups, right? So always make sure that this is checked. It is also a preference that you can set in Preferences, Timeline. Just make sure that Show Groups is active. And the way to navigate them is pretty easy. In the timeline, you press on the plus sign here to open the group, and you press here to close it. Pretty easy. And in the node view, once you have a group, to navigate it, you can just press on the triangle that is on the right to enter the group. Once in the group, you can go back either by clicking on this triangle here, that is going to bring you one step back, or you can enter again, and you can go at the bottom left. Here you have top, and it's going to bring you back to the top. Now if I was in a group, such as if I'm going inside my character and I go, for example, inside a deformation group, then if I use this triangle, I'm going to go back one step, and then if I click again, I'm going to go back another step. And if I go back again and I look here, you're going to see kind of like in a computer, like the deformation is inside Woo, and this is inside my interface. So top is going to bring me back to the top level of my interface. So this is how you navigate in and out of groups. And to see inside a group, you can also press on the triangle on the left here, and it's going to show you what the group contains. Of course, be careful, don't open these too much because they are heavier, especially if you work in 4K. In your scene, it's already heavy, so don't go and open all these because it's going to take a toll on your computer. And now we're going to talk about how to create groups. So to create a group, it's super easy. All you have to do is take a group of nodes, such as these effect nodes over here, and then you can right-click, go here to Group, and you're going to have Group Selection or Group Selection with a Composite. I don't often do group selection with a composite because usually I am kind of proactive in this, like I already put the composite there for my system, but sometimes if you need to do something quick, this is a very useful option. And if you look here, you have the shortcut. Of course, on a Mac, it's not Control, it's Command, but it's going to be the same. So I can just take these, press Control G, and it's going to group them. The great thing with groups, for example, I often use the same effects for Woo and all the other rigs. What is great is that if I ungroup this and I have my system here, I always use the same kind of lighting system with the matte blur and all that, and I don't often do this because you're gonna see why in a second, but sometimes it's useful to take your FX system and you can group them, and by grouping them you kind of create your own custom node. So I'm gonna call this Woo FX system, and this, if I go inside, has all my required nodes already connected and ready to go. Here I have 2 ports just because usually for my system I cut the system by its own shape, but whatever. If I take my system and I press on Alt to remove it, just like if I was putting just a blending node here, I can kind of insert it in and out of my node view. So if I take my group, since I only have like one top and one bottom, it's easy to kind of Alt click and insert it, and then I have my FX that are gonna come in. The reason why I don't recommend grouping all your FX is because if you group every one of your little FX, then your team needs to dig in and out of the group constantly, and it is freaking annoying. Which is why for comp, usually we will prefer to use backdrops, because then we can still group our objects and, you know, like copy paste them around or duplicate them around. But then if we need to edit anything, we can still do it from here, and it's just easier to find our stuff rather than having it be inside groups all the time. But for some little things here that the rigs always have, I will group it because it's easy and it's convenient. The last thing I want to show is how to dig in and out of groups. Now it's easy because I just took stuff that I already had, but what if I want to create other entry and exits of this group? It's super easy. So here you have multiport out and multiport in. These are basically like the portals leading in and out of the group, and they are basically what is going to be here in your group. So it's kind of like if everything was kind of on top of one another, and you had the multiport in and out in sandwich. That's kind of what it is. So then if you want to dig another hole out of it, you can take any node, like I'm going to take this for example, and if you go here, it's going to try to make another exit of your groups, and then you can have like another pair of legs for your group, and maybe this needs to be connected somewhere else and stuff. It's better to avoid having too much like things going in and out of your group, because then it's just not useful. But sometimes you need to, like for example, if I go inside my rig, limbs are often grouped, and I have a video about it if you want to check it out. But sometimes for more complex limbs, you might have things coming in and out of your group, but usually you're supposed to keep it really simple, such as for my arms, for example, I don't have anything coming in and out because I don't have any auto pass or anything super complicated. If you want to know the advantage of grouping your limbs, check out my video and it will enlighten you. And in the meantime, we're out of time, so I'm gonna see you again next week. Bye bye!